Hey, what's up everybody? So, look what we just got in. This is the new Zeiss LRP S3, which is basically the little brother to the S5. I'm not really going to do an unboxing here. I'm not a big fan of those, but I am getting ready to mount it here to the Springfield. We're going to take it to the range. I'll tell you more about it there. We made it to the range, just like I said. Before we get in talking about the S3, I wanted to share just a little information with you in case you're new to the channel. We have been partnered with Zeiss for a number of years. We chose to work with Zeiss because obviously of the quality that they put out, and then also they have everything that we need to be able to operate our long-range shooting schools and all of our hunting needs. So, as far as the S3, if you guys have seen our channel at all, you may have seen a few times me talking about I'm a second focal plane guy. That's what I grew up on. That's what I know. That's what's in my comfort zone, and I'm good at it. A lot of people don't like change. I don't mind it. I've tried some first focal planes, including the S5 that Zeiss just put out not too long ago. But if there's an optic, first focal plane optic that might be able to convert me, the S3 could be it. I haven't got to spend a lot of time with it yet, but I am going to take this to Kodiak in Alaska this coming October, so I can't think of a better test to run this thing through than that. Let's run some of the numbers on the S3, kind of get that out of the way. It currently comes in two offerings. So this one is a 4-25 by 50, and then they also offer a 6-36 by 56. Just like the S5, we've got a 34 millimeter tube, and then they also offer two different reticle systems, the ZF MOAI, which is for the minute of angle, or the ZF MRI, which is obviously going to be the mil radian. I really like how compact the Z3 is, coming in at 13.4 inches. One of the other things that is almost a given with Zeiss is the quality of their glass. Here's something that we hear in our classes all the time. If our clients haven't already been using Zeiss, they're using another brand and they get behind our optics that we use during our long-range classes, we hear wow all the time. The clarity and how easy they are to operate all the time. So that is just a given with Zeiss. Back to specifics on the S3, as a hunter, one of the things that I really like is their enhanced engraving, and they do it as a double stack. One, the engraving is very large and easy to read. Two, whenever you go to a full revolution of 25 minutes, I know when I'm on my second rev because I can go to my second stack and see that I'm at 26 or 25.5. The other thing that Zeiss did is down here on the stem, or the outside of the stem, is they give you a rev count. So once I have one full rev, there'll be a 1. If I go 2 full revs, on the opposite side there'll be a 2, and then all the way up. So I know how many revolutions I actually am, and I don't have to guess. Also on the elevation dial, they have very audible and tactile clicks, so not only can I hear them, I can actually feel them. As a hunter, why that's important, when I'm down on my rifle and I'm looking through that optic and say I've got a mule deer out to 300 yards and I know that I need to come up 1 minute, these are quarter-minute clicks. I can actually feel and hear my clicks as I turn them, and I don't have to take my eye out of the optic and off of my target. I can just actually hear and feel the clicks. So as a hunter, that is very important. Another feature that Zeiss has thought of on the S3, they've pretty much included everybody, and that is on the windage dial. Now for us in our long-range shooting classes and for hunting, we don't necessarily dial for windage, but we know that a lot of competition shooters do. When they have a consistent, steady wind, they'll dial for their windage. So with the windage knob, you can actually just pull it out, dial for your adjustment, then push it back in, and it's locked. You don't have to worry about it getting bumped and your windage being off at a critical moment. All right, so on the opposite side of your windage dial, we've got our parallax dial, which is going to allow you to fine-tune your parallax no matter what distance you're at. Right next to it, a knob on the outside is one of my favorite features, which is the illumination dial. So they've done something, Zeiss has done something a little bit different here. They not only have multiple settings in the typical red, but they've also added a green illumination feature, which is really nice that you can use maybe early in the morning or later in the evening, so you don't have as much brightness as you would possibly with a red. So it just gives you options. But here's where the S3 really separates itself from the competition. On this particular model, on the 4-25, it has a total of 160 minutes of travel in elevation. That is a lot. Here's where the benefits are in that. One, everybody knows how popular rimfire long-range shooting has become. So now, instead of having to have a 20 or a 40-minute base, you can now use all your travel in your elevation dial. You no longer have to use a base with 20 minutes of angle, or you no longer have to use a combination of your elevation dial and your reticle. You can get it all right here. So where that benefits us for our long-range schools using centerfire rifles is if we want to go beyond 1,000 yards, we no longer have to use a combination of our elevation dial and our reticle system. We can get every bit of our elevation right here at the dial. So now the last thing that I want to cover with the S3 is with our long-range shooting schools, we are constantly having to adjust zero and reset the zero stop because we run hundreds of clients through every year. One of the things I really appreciate about what Zeiss has done is they made it very easy for us to set the zero stop. Let me show you how. So you've got 3 set screws on the cap here that you have to loosen on the elevation dial. Loosen those, pull that off, and then they have what they call the internal ballistic bucket. One of the things I really like, I know it's small, but I think it's really cool. You can see there's 3 arrows here. That is to show us old guys with bad eyes where the set screws are, and it's pretty recessed in there. And so same thing, you just loosen those. It only takes about a quarter of a turn. Loosen all 3, and then that ballistic bucket comes right off. Now you have your elevation stem, the brass stem, and you make whatever adjustments that you need to make, just like on any other elevation dial. So you turn it counterclockwise to go up, turn it clockwise to go back down. Once you have it set for where you need it, this has a shim here, a metal shim, and then it goes against a metal shim here. Goes back on, turn it all the way to the shim, and then just reverse the process. Same thing, about a quarter of a turn to tighten all 3 of them. Make sure I got this last one good. Yep. Then take your ballistic cap, or your elevation cap, I mean. There's your zero. It has an arrow on it, and just line it back up with the arrow on the base. Tighten up your 3 set screws, and you are now re-zeroed. These are just a few of the features of the S3, but to really do it justice, in this next video, we're going to take it down to Texas, and we're going to stretch it out to 1,000 yards and beyond and show how the first focal plane reticle system really works.